Hey Tanner, how's it going?
It's going good. We are back again on another This is the Bet.
Episode number 3, week one preview, week one picks, Big 12. So, kind of the format we decided to go for is we're picking 6 games. So, 5 other Big 12 teams, their matchups, and then always doing the BYU matchup because that's our home team. This is the bet. So, we have 6 matchups. I'm going to pop it up here on the screen. We can kind of go over them real quick. But what's your feelings going into week one of the college football season is finally here?
Well, it's really exciting. The game I'm most excited about is two of them. It's watching Utah lose to Florida. I'm pretty excited
Yep.
about that.
Yeah,
But
actually, I was looking at that spread. I think it's 6.5, and I think there's not a chance Utah covers that. They don't have their starting quarterback. I've heard rumors coming out of camp that things kind of are going rough there. But little brother up north, we always hope for the
little
best for
brother,
them, of
not
course.
just throw it up, baby. You guys be
We
seeing a
don't we
lot of
don't
those.
we don't wish harm on them, but I just don't see them winning this game against Florida.
No, and
That's kind of the early. That's not part of our 6 picks, but
no.
we just have to talk about that game. So
Yes, absolutely. And the other game, this is not one of our 6 picks either, but it's the LSU Florida State to top two top 10. I think it's 8 and 6 playing
yeah,
each other. And I
that
mean,
game is
that's a Sunday game.
yeah, it's on Sunday, so it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I think
It'll be
LSU could be a really good team this year, so we'll see how they perform week one.
yeah. So I'll be sitting down watching that one for sure. But as we
Okay,
jump into our 6, yeah, um, starting off with our favorite team, Texas, right?
yep,
That you have going pretty far, and this will show us who they are. In my opinion, looking at it, I think plus 35 is a little big of an ask for Texas. I know they can. It's against Rice, so it's a guaranteed win. But anytime I see that spreads reaching that high, 35, I have to take a step back and say, can they really cover that? When you're once you get up by that much, you start to see quarterbacks taken out of games, trying to avoid injury. And so then you allow teams to kind of come back into games and cover late, a backdoor cover. And so I actually have Rice covering on this one. And
yeah,
something interesting that I looked into is that over 70% of bets are coming in on, and where I get my information from is from Action, the Action Network, which I really love using their app. Not a not a sponsored plug, just enjoy theirs. But it showed 70% of bets coming in on Texas to cover the spread, but the line has only moved by 0.5. Anytime I see it being very one-sided towards something covering, but Vegas not updating their lines, it
hmm
shows me that Vegas knows something. They're not afraid to kind of front that bet, because if Texas does cover and they didn't update the line, they're in to lose a lot of money. And so I think that's something to look into. And I have Rice covering plus 35.
yeah. I think Texas comes out big to start the year. Rice isn't that great of a football team. I mean, the spread is 35. It's kind of been floating around that range, and I think Texas comes out and wins by 40, by 42 maybe. I think it
Wow.
could be easily be, a 49-10 kind of win, 49-7, 56-7, 56-10, something like that. Texas just comes out strong. I think they're actually going to cover this one, which when it gets that many points, like 35 points, it's hard to say that team's going to cover. It feels risky, but I think they come out strong and uh, and take this one. I think they have a lot to prove. They're going to go into Alabama the next week, so they want to take that momentum with them. So I don't think they're going to take it easy on Rice. And it's going to be kind of
No.
one of those easy week one wins for Texas. Okay, moving on to the West Virginia Penn State game, Tanner. What do you think about this matchup? I think this is actually an interesting one. It's a Big 10, Big 12 matchup for week one. West Virginia, low expectations for them this year, and Penn State, as always, high expectations. So, what do you think about this one? West Virginia going into College Station.
Yeah. I've said on this I've said on this video a million times how many different teams I'd like. It seems like I like every team, and Penn State's one of those. It's hard not to like the whiteouts and the old Joe Paterno era on the sideline, and so I've got Penn State covering on this one. And some things I looked into with Penn State and West Virginia is the lines at 20.5 opened at 16.5, and I see it being a 21-point win for Penn State. And so looking into some stuff, West Virginia allowed on average 155 yards per game. Things to consider is that Penn State has Drew Alar, I think is how you pronounce his name, who was the backup actually last year to Clifford. So that could throw a wrench in it, as Clifford stepped away.
Yep,
And
Clifford's he's a backup for the Packers now.
Yeah.
One of my NFL teams.
And so I think this is a good chance to see what Drew can do against this West Virginia team that seems to be struggling. We've talked about West Virginia possibly being a 13th team in the Big 12, if not last. And so I see Penn State coming out ranked and getting the job done by 21 or more. So
yeah, and I'll be shocked if West Virginia is competitive in this game. I think it might get ugly early on. I also have Penn State covering at minus 20.5. I think Penn State wins by 24, probably like a 38-14 kind of win, where they kind of just get off to a nice start, get up early, and West Virginia is going to struggle to come back. I don't think they have the firepower to do it. Penn State's a solid program. They're going to be good year in, year out. And this year's going to be no different. They have the depth. They can replace the guys they lost like Clifford. And I'm not worried about Penn State. I think they cover. Just like you. Okay, moving on to Texas Tech at Wyoming. Wyoming's an old Mountain West Conference foe of BYU. Somewhat familiar with them. Josh Allen came out of there. Not a bad football program. They're bowl eligible most seasons, but Texas Tech, kind of what we've called the dark horse of the Big 12, is playing them. So what do you think about this matchup at minus 14?
Yeah. So I have Texas Tech covering on this one. It's at 14, like we said. And let's see, where did I put that? Texas Tech. There it is. My stats I've been looking at. Texas Tech was pretty high in stuff like red zone efficiency, third down conversions, first downs. So I see them covering this against Wyoming. This will be their first kind of test. 14. When I start to see it at 7-14, it can easily flip one way or the other. Obviously, Vegas sees something in Wyoming. And so I think this will be a true test for Texas Tech, a true test in the sense of first game of the season. Who are they? What are we going to see from Texas Tech? I have them covering, as we've been saying for a while. This could be a team that could finish in the top of the Big 12. And so I have them actually, I'm seeing this one, over 14.
Yeah,
not in the 21 range, add a field goal on top of the 14, and now we're talking. I'll probably be sweating that one out because I think that one will be a close one.
No, it's kind of exactly where I had it. I have Texas Tech covering as well, and I think it's like a 17-point win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. It might be a 10-point game going into the fourth, and then Texas Tech scores a touchdown and goes up by 17. I think Wyoming is good enough to stay competitive, but I think Texas Tech has that edge. I believe it's a home game for Texas Tech as well. So that will be, like you mentioned, red zone efficiency. They have good coaching, a lot of experience coming back. I think they're going to come out firing. I think Texas Tech will start the season really well, and then maybe be tested in that Big 12 schedule somewhere in the middle of the road, like I said, against BYU or something.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm gonna keep saying that, and then they're gonna play and get blown out by Texas Tech. I'll have to come on. Maybe we'll have to make a like. I'll have to have some punishment if I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, something.
But yeah, I think Texas Tech covers. So moving on to the upper right, University of Texas San Antonio against Houston. And like the Wyoming game, that's like the closest spread we have for week one because all these games are supposed to just be cupcake like blowouts. I mean,
Yeah.
you see 20 and a half is the spread for a lot of these. But what do you think
Yeah.
about the Houston game?
Yeah. So Houston's got a good program. BYU's played them before. But UTSA,
The other Cougars.
yeah, the other Cougars, the red Cougars. UTSA was just in the top 25 last season, correct?
Yeah.
I believe 2 seasons. They've kind of had 2 seasons where they've some would say beat up, bullied their conference that they're in. Because if I'm looking at the stats right, the quarterback had something like 4,000 yards or something. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing, but it was something just astronomical, right? And I actually think you have the wrong spread for
Really.
Yeah, it's only like a one point. Let me pull that up. I looked over and thought, whoa.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I don't know where I got that. Okay,
so
keep talking about.
I was gonna say that one. It's only 1 or 1.5, but I see UTSA pulling that one out, and the reason was the 4,000 plus yards. He's coming back, and I mean he's not going to stop throwing the ball or whatever he's doing to get 4,000 yards, right? But
So UTSA they're favored, right?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
They should be the favorite, and so the other one was they're bringing back a defensive linebacker, Jamal Ligon, who had 90 tackles last year. So, yeah, I got UTSA winning this one. I haven't looked in too much into Houston or what they're possibly doing in the Big 12. I haven't seen them finishing too high, and so I'm just riding off UTSA as still trying to prove something to everyone that they're trying to be a top 25 team, and so that's where I have them at. So
yeah, with knowing that, I don't know where I got this spread, but I'm definitely going UTSA as well to win this one. I think Houston's going to struggle this year a little bit. Like I had them, I think, finishing 13th in the Big 12. So I think UTSA is a solid team. I think this game's going to be really close. I think they've played in years past. UTSA versus Houston. Yeah, they played last year to open the season, and Houston won by 2 points in third overtime.
Wow.
So I think it's a close game. I think that spread that makes a lot more sense, and I think UTSA I think pulls that out, gets the win this year after the brutal loss last year in third overtime.
Yeah.
So moving on, this is actually a matchup that I really like this week. Colorado, primetime, Deion Sanders, new head coach there in Colorado. They're coming to the Big 12 next year. You know, he brought his son to play quarterback at Colorado from Jackson State. Travis Hunter, one of the top cornerbacks in the country, went to Jackson State, followed him to Colorado. A lot of players have left Colorado. You know, there's a narrative that prime time he's tough and has his way, and people were too lazy to play his style, and that's why they left or expected too much of them. Some people think it's a good culture change. Colorado hasn't been very good. So what do you think about Colorado? They're going to TCU. TCU is ranked 17th in the nation and favored by 20.5. Is this spread right? Am I right on this one?
Yes. Okay. That one is correct. I have flipped back and forth on this game. I originally sent you saying Colorado covers, and then I quickly texted you back and said, no, TCU covers. And my reasoning is I just think people are getting caught up on this hype of the new coach, right? You got to give coaches time to implement a new strategy. Yes, he's bringing over a lot of players, but that's kind of worrisome, right? You look at their depth chart and it's like everybody's new. You got a new coach, you got new players, and you're trying to put together this team, and you've got so much pretty high expectation. Just it was at the Saints game they had the Buffalo, and the announcers kept saying like, "Oh, here comes the Colorado game," and so I switched back, and that was because I see TCU as, yes, they lose their quarterback, yes, they lose Vaughn, they don't lose their program, where I feel like Colorado, it's just a huge question mark. So for me, I have TCU. I have this being one of those games where the analysts are trying to get people up for a game because it's week one and there's a narrative behind the coach. But I see TCU coming out and putting up some points, and this being where the analysts the next week are talking about, what now for the coach? What now for Colorado? Can they turn this around? Is he the real deal to turn this around? I think they'll be following that narrative for the whole season of, can he pull it together? But I could be wrong. And then, next week we'll be talking about how Colorado pulled an upset on TCU and this is the real deal in prime time. Yeah. So
the media will love that. I think TCU, I put plus there. It's supposed to be minus, but I think they cover as well. I don't know. We've talked about a lot about the hype around Texas. I think there's a lot of hype around Colorado as well. I don't think it's going to be instant results for Colorado. I think it's going to be a couple of years. Give him some time there. Let's see if he can coach, bring in recruits. Let's see if he can compete next year in the Big 12. But I think Texas Christian University, I don't know why I said Texas Christian, TCU, I think they're going to cover this one as well. I think it's going to be a lot of question marks on Colorado, and I think after this game, people are going to ask if Coach Prime is actually a good coach or not. The narrative might flip a little bit, and I think they're not going to win a ton of games this year. If they get to a bowl game, if Colorado gets to a bowl game, I think that's a success for them, kind of like if BYU gets to one this year, because they've really struggled in years past, and they're kind of resetting, and I think that's okay. But I don't think they come out week one and beat TCU.
Yeah,
or
definitely.
Even compete. Like, I have TCU by 21, I think, exactly. So I think it's close. I think that spread's really good. I think TCU has enough to win.
And now moving on to the team, baby.
The team we know Cougars. The most about. So we have Sam Houston coming to Provo's first game of the year. 8:15 night game. BYU favored by 20.5. Supposed to be a pretty easy win. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, so I did a deep dive into the history of BYU as promised for when favored by more than 20 points, and it's not looking good for the Cougars. 3 for 8 when favored by more than 20 in the last 5 years. And we've talked about this narrative. They seem very often to play to the level of the competition, right? It's a dog, we're playing a team we should crush, and it's a dog fight. And we always come out of it being like, what a great game to watch, but what a frustrating game to watch. It's entertaining, but it's frustrating because you're seeing BYU playing down. And so I don't, it's at 20.5. That's tough. But I don't see them covering this one, simply because what I've seen in the past with 20 favored by 20. There's been a lot of talk of what Sam Houston will do. They'll want to run the ball a lot, I guess, play actions. And we've talked about the question mark of BYU's defense. We know what their offense will be slinging it with Slovis, but their defense, big question on defense. And A bright side is in a press conference today, defensive coordinator Hill said he wants to be a lot more aggressive. I like that he was frank and came out and said that, what he'd seen the old defense doing was not anywhere close to what he wanted to do. He wanted to be aggressive. He said fill the gaps. That's what BYU needs. They need to not be a pushover on defense. They need to be strong. If that defense shows up, if he's able to put something together, this should be an easy win. This should be 20 plus points, 28, you know what I mean? But from the defense I saw last year, some first game kind of jitters, which what we've seen, I'm seeing this as Sam Houston does cover. So
Yeah, and BYU wins this game. It's not a question of that. It's a question of how much do they win by. Like you said about Jay Hill, there's an interesting stat I came across. BYU ranked 129th out of 131, so third to last in sacks last year. And that's got to be the problem that Jay Hill is trying to fix. When he says be more aggressive, does that mean running more blitz packages, getting after the quarterback more, playing more man defense, maybe getting some more turnovers? I think playing aggressive is kind of the only answer for BYU's defense. And yeah, if they show up, Sam Houston shouldn't be scoring that many points. And here's my score prediction. So you have Sam Houston covering, correct? What do you think is kind of a score prediction in your head, and then I'll give my take before I reveal my pick.
This one's too stat based, and it's too much of my BYU. Don't get excited, because I if I go with what I'm seeing, I'm putting it as BYU maybe wins by 14 or 17. It being a closer game. But this could easily be a 24-point margin or more for BYU. I think. I don't know. Sam Houston may be a lot better. It's just interesting to see the 20. I got to stick with it. I got to stick with my guns. I'm saying 17. I'm saying the margin is 17. 14 would scare me a lot, and I would be hesitant on every other game this year for BYU to win. So I think the Cougars need to come out and crush it for my sake to be happy for the season. Yeah. If not, we're in for some trouble.
Yeah, and I actually had BYU covering this. I'm just coming from a different. I could see them getting up some points. I don't think it's more than 21 points, but I see the offense not having a problem, and I see that being enough. I think they're going to put up around 40, 45 points. So I have a 45 to 21 type score. Nothing. That's a 24-point victory, but it's not super impressive. You blew them out. But I think that's enough to cover the spread and win by 24. Could be 28, but I do see, there's that chance that they give up points late or struggle early, and it's a little closer than it should be, and maybe it's only a 14-point win or 17-point win. We'll just have to see. It's going to be fun to watch all these games play out. So we kind of decided we're going to keep track of our records, and we have a bet that this is the bet is what we're calling it. We each get one. This is the bet, and it's worth double points. Do you have any thoughts? We didn't decide these beforehand. We're just going off how we feel right now. So, Tanner, what do you think?
Yeah. Ooh, I'm going with the Red Rebels, baby. Texas Tech. I've got them easily covering that 14. That's this is the bet. Brother Brigham would be proud of me saying Texas Tech, this is the bet. Minus 14. So that is this is the bet.
Locked it in?
Locked it in, baby.
Okay. This is the bet is Penn State covering against West Virginia. I think West Virginia gets somewhat embarrassed there. And I don't know why I'm hating on them so much, but I just think they're going to struggle. And I think Penn State is just too good. and they're going to cover that. This is the bet. It's my lock.
Awesome.
So when we're going to come out with this episode, it's probably, let's say, Wednesday when you're seeing this. What's our next show? What's our next plan, Tanner? Do we know?
That's a great question. I think we may be releasing smaller videos every now and then. I want to keep up to date as much as I can with anything happening to BYU. I know there was that press conference I talked about today. They're announcing some of the depth charts with Greg Wrubell, and there's some awesome stuff. I'd love to keep on top of that. Little videos here and there. If anything changes with picks that I'm seeing, I'd love to get stuff out like that. But I think the next plan will be the next for sure video will be a recap. You can count on a recap Monday after games have been played. But I'd like to see us doing some halftime thing for BYU, or for some of these other games, hopping in, seeing some live bets. Those are always fun to keep you watching games, even if it's a blowout. You know, I put the Texas Tech, maybe it'll be a blowout. It'll be 21-0 at halftime, and we'll hop in on some live bets and see if they can continue it. So I think that's where we're going.
Yeah, so I'd say stay tuned for game day. We might be going live. So subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss it. But yeah, just get on and look for us there. But yeah, we'll definitely recap, go over how our picks panned out, and then there'll definitely be a week 2 picks video as well. It's kind of the plan is at least doing these picks videos, and then probably just keeping up to date on any BYU stuff that's going on, if there's any big news or any reactions and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely, Brandon.
Okay. Well, thanks, Tanner, and looking forward to some football.
Okay, go Cougars, baby.
Okay. See ya.
Talk to you later.